Getting started in a second.
All right, so we're ready to get started with the next session. I hope that everyone enjoyed their coffee break. You all have a sample of that coffee inside your goodie bag, so you can roast it at home and make it at home, and give us some feedback after. But I hope you found that talk interesting. I found it super interesting. I love coffee, so I wanted you guys to all experience some Dominican coffee as well. For our next session, wanting to introduce the panelists. So Jared Carson, as you all met, CFO, he also oversees our business analytics and strategy team. So he'll be talking to you a little bit about how Horatio thinks about data and how we make data-driven decisions here at a company. So with that, pass it over to Jared.
Good intro. Glad that everyone had their coffee before our very interesting data session. Although, if I have to pick a year for this conversation, I think now is pretty timely. We have started to see a lot of you invest in some of your own data teams. We ourselves have made big investments in this area as well. And with that, I don't want to steal her thunder. I'll let Steph introduce herself, Steph leads our analytics function here.
Hi, I'm Steph Punden. I'm the Senior Strategy and Analytics Manager. I am a proud Babson Beaver, and I have an MBA from Barna. I always joke with Jose because obviously in sports, our schools were rivals, Bentley and Babson. But yeah, all jokes aside, basically most of my background has been in finance and investing industries, and then I made a switch to quick commerce and e-commerce, and now the exciting world of customer experience. I really am very passionate about data and just solving complex data problems. So I'm hoping that we can continue to partner and grow those areas with you and provide actionable insights for you.
And I asked Steph's team also to come join us here.
Yes.
And so they're sitting. If you guys raise your hands quickly. This is some of the very important infrastructure that helps support you all here in building out your custom dashboards, in thinking analytically about how to solve problems. And so you can say hello, but we have engineers, data engineers, and then we have dashboard specialists. But those are some of the functions that you all know and interact with. And yeah, so feel free to stop us. The team sits down in the HQ, which we saw on the tour this morning. So yeah, so this is one of it's very interesting. So I studied operations research engineering at Cornell, and what's the first example in my introduction to operations research class? The first example in college that I learned all those years ago was contact center queuing. That's the first example that they teach you in college. And it's just, I mean, it applies to so many other industries, but it's just pretty funny that the first example I ever learned about what I majored in college is now something that I do every day. But one of my favorite parts about this industry is how much data we actually get and how analytical we can be, and how we can use that data to then empower the humans that are behind the interactions that support all of you. And so I think that's, for me and Steph, who are the nerds up here sitting in front of you, we love that part about the industry.
So as you know, data can provide insights into customer behavior, preferences, and obviously pain points, which are super important. It also helps us drive better customer satisfaction, increase revenue, and customer loyalty and retention.
Exactly right. And these are some conversations that I've had with some of you today, but within analyzing data, there are a number of challenges and a number of factors that we have to evaluate when we're even figuring out what metrics are important, right? And so it's collecting data, storing data, working within our security frameworks to keep consumer data private, and then also making sure that we can deliver insights back to the business. And so, I mean, we talk about the different CRMs we all use. They look at data in different ways. And so there's not a one size fits all when it comes to data, but it's really a partnership approach, and that's what we've taken over the last 2 years as Steph has built out this team and function.
So here we really just wanted to provide some of the examples that I think that we've all worked on together throughout the partnerships and as we continue to build out new features for the product, which is the analytics platform. Basically, for the first point, how do we personalize customer experience through data? I think we've all seen so many articles out there, so much investment in tech and use of AI. We are really tech savvy here. We love to just be in the know-how of tech and kind of use it to leverage giving you better analytics in general. Basically, for this first part, I would say it's great to highlight customer, portfolio health, customer segmentation, what is really the purchases that your customer has done and what they could potentially do, how they have behaved. That's super important in this part, and how we can leverage that to provide better customer experience for them. So communication, brand voice. If this customer has purchased, for example, certain products, maybe I can upsell or cross-sell. So those are really important things that I think we can do through analytics to really, really hone in and personalize that experience. And for the second part, I think it's kind of tied to the first one, but really just not only using historical data, but using predictive analytics to see where your customers have been, how they have behaved, and really how we can continue to shape that relationship that you have and that perception that they have about your company and your product, and really, really just build that loyalty between that customer and your brand.
Yeah, and I think our clients share this view with us, but every interaction with an end customer, with someone who purchases, is valuable data that we can then use to inform product decisions, that we can then use to inform process decisions as well. And so we found most success with clients who share that view and are looking at every interaction as a way to get better and invest back in what we're doing.
So what's important about looking at ticket volume, response times, and agent performance? Obviously, we want to know and we want to measure how we're doing on a per channel and obviously overall CX performance, but also we want to tailor strategies for each channel if we choose to, right? If that's what we want to do it with data backed up decisions. What response times are we aiming at for each channel? What staffing level do we have to do this? And also what particular channel is driving higher satisfaction, lower satisfaction, or even a particular contact reason, so that each strategy really is being made part of your overall strategy. And that will also shape how we train agents, how we measure them, and what tools we give them, and the feedback that we want to give them real time to really get them to give every single interaction, that world-class experience that we're looking for. And also, obviously, require additional resources or process improvements. I think here we do a lot of different things. But for example, process improvements that we work on: frequently asked questions, help centers, automated workflows that we can work on together. And again, just really having every decision, even like your business hours. We can provide data to let you know if clients are, reaching out outside of business hours that we originally agreed on. Do we want to cover that? What is really the impact of each decision that we're making? And just allocate those resources really well to give the best customer experience with the tools we have on hand.
Exactly. And also knowing when to prioritize certain parts of the business versus others and changing those in real time. And so I want Steph's team and our analytics team to be fully ingrained with all of our clients, and I want it to be a real partnership approach, and we understand what the business wants to prioritize, what the business needs are, and then we can make adjustments very quickly. And so that's where we're going with this.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, some of the new tools that we're working on, I think we've always really done this, but more innately before having all this investment in analytics, is like ticket to order ratio analysis, cyclical sales that you may have, or cyclical behaviors that you may have, or how is a marketing or sales campaign really faring in terms of your ticket volume, and how can we properly allocate resources to face these times? Do we want to do, full-time resources? Do we want to do a mix, or do we want to do enough cross-training to be prepared for those times? So that's kind of what we want to continue to develop alongside you, to always make sure that we're providing the customer experience that everyone, every single one of your customers deserves, and that's kind of what we do with passion. So
Good. Yeah. So this is my slide, and this is one of our core values here at Horatio. And so what we always say is 1% better per week in every process, and that equates to 50% better each year, assuming a bit of vacation, let's call it. But that's our goal, right? And so we take that approach ourselves with our processes and with each of our people. And we want to take that approach with each of you all as well. And so how can we be leveraging data to figure out what we need to improve, whether that's specific resources, whether that's specific processes, whether that's, the company wants to prioritize this retention strategy versus another, A/B testing. I mean, the examples are countless, but the point here is that this for me is the most important way that we can use data, because at the end of the day, we're aligned with all of you in that we want to keep improving, we want to keep growing, and then we want to keep serving the end customers.
So we've said it a bunch of times, and like Jared said, we're both nerds, and so is our team. But we are really, really, passionate about understanding new technologies, how to use that, how to really deepen our knowledge in the CRMs that you all use, but also the metrics and reporting analytics that each serves. I find that each has, kind of its own beast, and the way that they measure things is a little bit different, even if the end goal is the same, right? To provide performance metrics that are powerful that we can use to make decisions. But I find that that's something that makes us really different, is that we really care about understanding how each of them work and how we can help you use every single process in the CRM to your favor if we can. And obviously, I think it's really great that the company just has, investing in analytics and DevOps at the forefront. I find that not too many companies in this industry do have an in-house DevOps team, which is, I think, really powerful. And I would love for us to use them more if you have any ideas. And then obviously understanding what matters to you and how to provide powerful analytics for your unique business model. I think that's also really powerful. There's not one size fits all. So I love working with you guys to see how we can tailor the analytics to really give you everything you need in the day-to-day. So the 500-foot view, but also the 5-foot view of what you need on your day-to-day, and showcasing beautiful, and user-friendly dashboards. I am really excited to show you guys how we're going to continue evolving here. I think the V1 is something that you guys have all seen, and the V2 I hope will wow most of you. We have demoed with one client and we got some positive feedback, but we're still in the QA phase. So I can't wait to show you guys that, and obviously innovation and creativity.
Yeah, and I get asked all the time, what are your views on automation? What are your views on AI? And my answer always is, we have used these technologies. We've used large language models for a long time to make our team members more efficient. And so that's one of the beauties of working with high growth companies and high growth industries, is that we're always going to need to be looking for new technology, figuring out different ways to leverage it. And so that's really in our DNA. And so you'll start to see some pretty cool tools around that we're launching that are going to be proprietary to our clients. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about those.
So we wanted to just include some of our favorite use cases that we have discussed with several examples, but obviously predictive analytics. So not just looking at history, but looking into how we can hone in into future behaviors, and analyzing sales and upselling opportunities. Some of you are already tracking revenue from the customer sales support, but we really want to give that a different spin as well and work with you on how we can also deepen our knowledge here and strategies using automation to increase efficiency. This particular one we're going to do a big push on this year is social media monitoring, moderation, engagement. We have already been doing this, but some of the features in the roadmap for the product will allow us to automate a lot of that. And the use of sentiment and CSAT analysis to identify common pain points. I know sentiment analysis is something that we're all reading about. There are companies out there doing it, and we're really excited to make it a part of a feature for the analytics platform. As you know, CRMs provide you with CSAT for email and chat mostly. So getting a sentiment score of whether that particular interaction will lead to a promoter or not, and having that score, but also having a score for the interaction from the agent side, and maybe even, some recommendations of words that they could have used to handle it differently to de-escalate, I think is going to be really powerful for the remainder of the year. And I can't wait to showcase those with you.
Yeah, we won't go into this in detail, but we covered most of this, and you've already started to see the investment around tag analysis, and then some of the benchmarking and the predictive analytics and CSAT analysis toward the end of the year.
Sorry.
Next slide. So with that, I'd like to call up an important partner client of ours. He has a lot of experience in this space, so I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'll let him give a little bit of an introduction. But when we talk about clients of ours that are investing heavily in data and analytics, and people who know the industry very well, there's none other than Jarvis, who will come and introduce himself shortly. Yeah. Can you play the video? We're going to play this quick video, and then Jarvis will introduce himself.
Testing. I started my journey with Horatio as a partner of ours in January 2022, and it's been an amazing ride these past 14 minutes. We started working with Horatio as an outsource provider for our customer service department at Class Wallet. We started with just testing out with 5 agents. Now today, 75% of our contact volume comes to Horatio. Horatio, with their great innovative space in the BPO industry, their positive team atmosphere and their friendly environment and the way they treated their agents is an amazing asset to Class Wallet, because we value family as well. Horatio is the future of BPOs. Gone are the days where contact centers are cost centers. Horatio can turn your customer experience into a profit center.
That was done in one take, by the way. Jarvis, if you wouldn't mind explaining to everyone a little bit about Class Wallet and your background, and then we'll get into some data.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to meet all of you. I am Jarvis Freeman. I've been in this contact center industry for 24 years now. It was completely by accident. I needed a summer job, and there was this place that said now hiring, so I walked in the door, and it was like people sitting in cubicles and this big switchboard, like taking phone calls, and I was like, okay. And they said, we'll pay you $10 an hour. Back when I was 16, that was a lot of money for a 16-year-old. Then I jumped right into it. You fast forward 24 years later, every position in the contact center you can have, I've had it. So agent, team leader, quality assurance, workforce management, operations, client services, director, client acquisitions, call center acquisitions, janitor, HR, IT, you name it, I've done it. But it gave me a unique perspective of understanding what drives it all. It's the people in the seats driving experience with your customers, and not just transactional experience, but they are the representation of the brand. When people call in, they don't know where they're at, where they're going, when you're chatting. They want their issue resolved, or they want help to purchase your product. And I've been lucky enough to work with individuals these past 24 years to really drive that passion and really go with these brands. You can see if Capital One, Porsche, Verizon, Broad County Public Schools, Bosch, American Express, Kaplan, AT&T are just some of the partners I've worked with over the years. But if you have a major brand, 90% of the time you guys have interacted with one of my agents, as I've ran call centers all the way up to 2,500 people in my lifetime. Now I have the great possibility, the great opportunity to be with Class Wallet. Anyone here knows a teacher that teaches in the U.S.? Anybody knows a teacher?
Yep.
Chances are 1 in 3 teachers in the U.S. have a Class Wallet account, and we're rapidly expanding. What is Class Wallet? We're a digital wallet for education and government sections that focus on empowering teachers and families to really use funds to increase educational opportunity. We work with states like Arizona, Texas, 26 out of 48 states we work with in helping dispersing funds. We also were really big during COVID, dispersing COVID funds for educational resources as well. And we're continuing in the hyper growth mode. So much so I'm like, Jared, we need more space. We need more space. We're growing rapidly.
It's great. Thank you. Can we pull up the dash? We have it loaded, right? It's that tab? Yeah. All right, great. So this is an example of, we simplified it a bit for this presentation, but it's an example of some of the work that the team is doing. And I wanted Jarvis to come up and explain a little bit about how he leverages the data that we help serve to him to make operational decisions and also inform the customer experience of Class Wallet overall.
Right. So we service 3 channels here at Class Wallet. We have voice, chat, and email. Our voice channel is the least busiest of our channels because we work with educators and families, and usually they don't want to talk to you. They just, where's my money? How do I get it? And where do I spend it? So we spend a good time on our digital channels supporting our customers. We generate our contact volume as if the state disperses funds. We send out thousands of emails and say, hey, guess what? You got $200 to spend. You got $2,000 to spend. And then the next response is, well, how do I spend it? Or where do I go to spend it? Or where am I allowed to spend? So we kind of moderate that. And these dashboards give us indications that, hey, you might not want to sit down on a Monday morning at 8 a.m. because that's also your highest call volume as well. So leveraging tools like this, knowing when to send our communications to our customers and end users is, beyond priceless. We did it blind before coming to Horatio. Like, hey, we'll do it. And then Suhey, raise your hand. Suhey is our director of customer success at Class Wallet. She manages the contact centers, and she would go nuts. So like, hey, our phones are ringing off the hook, and now I have 2,000 emails in queue that I need to answer in 24 hours. So that kind of shows that now. But if you look at those beautiful service levels, 91%, AHT, we don't talk about average handle time. I hate that metric in contact centers because I am not a traditional believer of BPO statistics like AHT, service level. That means nothing to the end user customer. They want their issue resolved, whether it takes 2 minutes or 20 minutes. They want it resolved in the first contact. So we never talk about AHT in any organization I run. That's not a metric of mine. We do look at it though, because I could go back to product and say, hey, what we did for Arizona is not working. It drove AHT 10 minutes, and that's inefficient for the agent and the customer. What can we do to make that experience better? We also have sentiment analysts and analytics in the background that all our voice contacts, we have 100% AI looking at them, judging sentiment, and can to say, hey, we did this. As a result, X happened, Y happened. And then I go to this lovely dashboard and say, hey, I used to have 98% service level, but product, you did a bad job. Like, go back and fix it because now I have 65% service level. It's really strategical data to provide and insights into exactly what they need to fix. So this has been helpful. And this was all volunteer. Jerry's like, hey, we could do some things with your data. And I'm like, show me, because I am a big data nerd myself. Well, show me. And I was thoroughly impressed with this dashboard.
And the service levels, right, it's something that Jarvis and his team set and then we work toward, right? So that's a big theme as well. And And with your client service managers, what we push them to do is make sure that we're aligning expectations with what you want across each channel, and so that we can help prepare a plan to hit those numbers.
So in this stage, we see this is connected to our Salesforce CRM, and this is very important for case priority. We know that Arizona is one of our biggest and largest clients. Region 10 Texas is not. So when that popped up, immediately I'm like, hey, Suhey, like, co-alert, what's going on? What did we change? What did we do? Let's find out. And it happened on a call where we're looking at this dashboard every week with the Horatio team. Like, hey, what's going on? How could we learn? That's the value of partnership and not just being traditional BPO. Yep, well, that's just more seats for us to take. No, hey, Jarvis, like, ring the alarm. There's something going on. Let's look into it. And then our case type here.
Yeah, and this for the e-commerce brands is tags, and so this is probably the question that we get the most, and it helps inform different product decisions, and it helps go back to the rest of the org and talk about what's going on with specific areas of the business.
At the beginning of this deck, they said something very key about data. Is it insightful, and can you action it? The dashboards that we have here are very insightful to us. We run a very large, we're a startup ourselves. We're in what years, Suhey? 2014, still in the startup phase. We're now in a rapid and hyper growth mode, and data is very important to us, but not from just looking at it, but how can we action it and constantly improve our service offerings and what we provide to the states and gov. So this was a tremendous godsend for us to be able to have this data in real time in a deck where we didn't have to pour in additional resources that were outside of the customer care team that didn't know how to process it. I said, hey, more cases, less interactions, more costs, all in a continuous loop.
Good. Do you want to go over team? So this is also obviously important to all of us, is the specific channels that we handle and how we're doing across those channels. And so you see here, we handle all channels, chat, email, and phone, which is, I think, typical for most clients. And then specific metrics that we want to go through across each of the different channels, right? Service levels are pretty good right now.
Pretty great, I might say, It has to be.
Yeah.
Go down a little bit. I want to show my favorite part here, right? So you can see the constant rise in volumes, and we're able to take that back. We do financial distributions and things like that. And anytime you send millions of dollars out to the public, you expect to see a significant spike. We did see that spike, but what you don't see, we saw service level improve over that time. So the team is locked in and focused with that data. That was super, super impressive to me, because usually when you see 25% increase in volume, you see a degrade in performance. The team was all locked in, motto, yeah. Hefe, what do you want us to do? We're doing it. We're on it. We are overtime. Those great things and those partnerships really going out there and making sure that, yes, our volume is now rose, but we didn't see a degradation in service as well. It's really, really important to us. Thank you, Amano, my team.
Yeah, good. Well, thanks, Jarvis. And yeah, I mean, this is just one example of some of the work that Steph and the team are doing. But as you can see, I mean, it helps inform and action really important business decisions for a lot of our clients. And so this is an area that we will continue to invest in, and that I'm very excited to partner with all of you on. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.